focus is basically coupled with an operational effort. So we have a set of work that we do that's, it's like move fast is the work. And it's something that I'm pretty engaged in, where I will just routinely go and sit down with largely engineering leaders, but also, folks across the company and ask them, okay, well, what is slowing you down, right? So in addition to the product reviews that I'll do, where we'll talk about, okay, what are the decisions we should be making, or, what should we be investing in? I think it's useful to often just sit down with people and have a whole conversation. They're like, all right, what are the things that are basically causing you to move more slowly? And then I view a bunch of my job as CEO, but then also we have other people who just work on this to try to go remove those obstacles. And obviously we have to do it in a way that helps fit the other goals of the company, right? So if people are saying, hey, it would make me be able to go faster if I just didn't have to care about this issue. If that's an important issue, then obviously we're not going to. You just say no, right? It's like let's figure out how we can care about that issue and do this as efficiently as possible. But I do think that you can apply sort of a methodical amount of you can apply energy methodically over a long period of time towards basically oiling or greasing the wheels in the organization in the direction that you want. And I think you can get it done over time.
Yeah.
I remember when I was first learning about running an organization, I had this conversation with this guy, Dan Rosenzweig. He was the COO of Yahoo at the time. And he's great. He's a great person. And he told me this thing that will always stick with me, which is that every organization sucks, but you get to choose the ways in which your organization sucks. And which is maybe the most negative possible way of putting it. But I think it's basically, if you want to move fast on certain dimensions, you can, but you only get a few things like that, right? So I think it's, if you want to optimize moving fast, we can do that. If we want to optimize being distributed first, we can do that. But maybe you get like 5 of these, and like and we are very focused on operationalizing them and making sure that each of these values is backed up by like real work streams that we have, or decisions that we make, or processes that we make. I mean, I mentioned changing the performance management tool. For Live in the Future, one of the big things that we're doing is, I don't just want teams to be working distributed and working over video conference. I also want them to be using workrooms and using their kind of VR headsets. Workrooms is this product. It's the VR product that we built for collaboration. I think it's great. It's early still, but it's fascinating. It's like you're in a meeting and you're sitting around a table, and even though the kind of fidelity isn't quite as photorealistic on the avatars yet as say the conversation that we're having now, the fact that you can sit around a table and you can see people's gestures and you can have a side conversation. So if there's 10 people around the table, you can turn to the person next to them and ask them a question. Yeah, there can be multiple conversations going on in the room, like a normal room, but obviously you can't do anything like that over a video conference. There are a bunch of things like that actually make it in some ways feel more real already than video conferences, even though the avatars are still very stylized and cartoony. So, but we basically have a rule that everyone who's in, across the company, who's in leadership or management should be basically doing at least like one standing meeting a week in workrooms, right? Because that's like, okay, we want to get the feedback loop going on that, right? It's like that way that team now is overwhelmed with feedback on how to get it to be even better. But I think one of the outcomes of this is like, I think Workrooms is going to probably learn what they need to do to be a great product a lot faster than a lot of others in the space. So I think that's kind of one way to operationalize these. But yeah, you got to operationalize them if you want them to be real. Otherwise, they're just words that you put on a website somewhere.